Welcome to Leadershipedelics Season 2 Part 2. I'm Sébastien Fouillade. Join me every week to explore the intersection between deep spiritual experiences and leadership. Leadership in the sense of how do you manifest a better future for yourself, for your family, for your community, and for others. So join me every week as I interview guests who've had those hardships, those journeys, those heroes' journeys, and they share the insights that they've gained along the way. Insights meant to inspire us, meant to awaken us, meant to help us build a better future. I've got a very special announcement. We're organizing a Sacred Creativity Retreat in October of this year in the Sacred Valley of Peru. Now, what's a Sacred Creativity Retreat? Well, it's all about reconnecting you with your untainted, authentic, creative selves. So if you're interested, check out the website retreat.fouillade.com. That's retreat.fooyad.com for more information. And I hope the stars align and I can see some of you there. I'm delighted to introduce our next guest, internationally renowned artist and poet, Nicholas Kirsten, known as Honshin. 5 years ago, Honshin's art changed my appreciation of the present golden moment and reshaped my own spiritual journey. Now, 5 years later, I had the privilege to meet with him in his studio and talk creativity, spirituality, and even play a little harmonica while he shared his poetry. This was truly a golden moment. Honshin's art and poetry reflect his experience with ancient Eastern spiritual practices and the philosophies of Christianity, Tibetan Buddhism, Zen Buddhism, and ancient Mesoamerican cultures. He sees art as a form of spiritual quest, and his artwork is a message from a pure heart. His intention is to communicate the unity of consciousness and life of all things in the universe. He lives in Sedona with his wife Crystal Kirsten, where they operate two galleries, the Gallery of Wholeness, Harmony and Radiance, and the Ascending Spirit Gallery. You gotta stop there if you visit Sedona. I hope you enjoy our discussion as much as I did. This was truly a special moment, and see you on the other side. Welcome to Leadershipedelics. Thank you for making the time today for us to meet together.
Looking forward to it, Sébastien.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here at the Gallery of the Ascending Spirit.
Yes, and it's been such a magical way for us to connect. And I was here 5 years ago and looking at your paintings and reflecting on the golden moment. And this is something that's taken me through my journey forward, and so being here together is a really special moment.
It's another golden
moment. And so I'd love to hear about your journey and where it started, and when did you find that golden moment and that connection with the golden moment?
Well, my journey started very early in life. I was fortunate enough to be aware of what I wanted to do, I think probably when I was born. But I can't prove that. My first artwork was age 5.
Wow.
That I have left behind thanks to my mother. And it was a drawing that I did when I was 5 of my hand. And every finger was the color of the rainbow. And in the palm of the hand was sacred geometry. And I never knew that I'd done that until I was like in my 60s, and I saw that, and I went, it was there right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And so it was a matter of having an auspicious birth in a place where that energy could continue to manifests itself through me, because it's really an energy that I am bringing in as my body, as a vehicle, as an antenna to transmit these images and symbols that come from nature's heart. And when I say nature, I don't just mean nature outside your window. I mean nature everywhere. The entire universe and multi-dimensional spaces that are all included in my vision and understanding of nature.
Wow. So from age 5 to that reflection you have now on this, how did you grow into that space? What were the big milestones?
Well, I think my father, who was an artist, and I worked in his studios when he was in Seattle on the weekends, because I was at school, and he would go to his home studio on the weekends, and we would work together. And it was his, when I said I want to do this, he made a space for me to be able to do what the kind of work that he was doing with the materials. So that was very encouraging. And then later on, when I was maybe 10 or 12, I was not very popular in school. And I wasn't very coordinated yet. And I had giant Coke bottle lens glasses, which made me a target for teasing.
Oh.
Which is, we grow through these things.
Yeah.
And what happened was I did a couple really good paintings, and I decided to take them to school and show them to the classroom. Well, when people saw those paintings, I became a cool guy. And that encouraged me. I mean, it was like, you know, how am I going to fit myself into the social structure, psychologically, have a balance and be accepted? Well, it was perfect because I loved doing art, and it was the art that made me acceptable. So it was like, yeah, that's encouragement for sure.
What type of art like made you cool or accepted at the time? Like,
it was very realistic.
very realistic.
The first painting I did was called Screaming Bird. And it was an eagle on a branch. It's kind of a dark painting, and the bird was screaming. It was a screaming like eagle. At that age, I was angry.
Yeah.
A lot of things had happened to me that made me angry. And the next thing that I painted was a Bengal tiger in the jungle at night in the moonlight. And he was roaring.
Wow.
And I felt that was sort of like me waking up to what I was going to be doing. And it was that painting actually that I took to school. It was, and then from then on, it was just an interest and continual experimentation. I did a lot of different types. I did lino block carving and wood block printmaking, and oil paintings, and then acrylics, which we've landed on because acrylics are the paints that are less lethal to the artist.
Yeah.
So, and then onward and upward, I loved mathematics and chemistry, and those were my best grades besides art. And when I got to the end of high school, all of my counselors, my teachers, and my parents wanted me to be a chemical engineer and go to work for a big chemical company. And I had to make a choice.
Yeah, how did you make that choice?
Well, it was really interesting because I really knew I loved art, and I was standing in administration building at the University of Washington, and I was walking towards the sign-in window where they used to do it that way to get my program registered. Well, 3 people from the window, I made my first decision of my heart as to what I would do. And I changed my major from chemical engineering to art. And then I went home and faced the music.
How did that go?
Well, you know, they just accepted it, probably not too happily. Even though my father was an artist, he knew that it was very difficult to be an artist and have economic stability. So
Yeah, but here you are now, and
well, no, I mean, I made the pledge to myself that I would live off of my paintings, and that meant I had to create a lifestyle that would afford my sales. And when I started, I never thought about painting for money.
yeah,
I still don't think about painting for money, even though I make money from the art. But it's more of a fulfillment for me, and the fact that I get paid for it is a miracle.
yeah,
And it's one that I consider a great blessing, and I'm always grateful for the people who support and collect my work, because they're allowing me to do my heart's desire.
yeah,
And now, at a little older age, I don't want to live without all the amenities that I forwent in my youth in order to be able to paint all the time. I live on a level of a lower economic territory, even though it was a joy, because I learned how to get joy out of doing the simple things in life, which I had an early experience with that, because we had a summer camp, my family, where we all carried water and chopped wood and didn't have running water and stuff. So I grew up that way. So when I decided that I would find a place without running water or electricity, it was an experience I knew from childhood.
yeah,
And I found that it gave me a lot more time to do my art, to have a place that I could just be close to nature and keep life very simple.
Oh, it's beautiful. And so as part of that work, close to nature, doing your art, like this is your spiritual practice, right? We talked about that
Correct.
briefly. Do you have anything that complements that practice in addition to your art that has helped you evolve the art over the years, or does it just come from the art?
Well, it's
itself?
from meditation, and art is the main meditation, but all of life is a meditation. If you can't bring your meditation to the present moment, then you're not there. And so we practice that, and of course nature is always unfolding more and more understanding about who we are, where we're going, where we've been, and what brings me the most inspiration is just going out and observing what's there to see. When one looks deeply enough, one can see that everything is there, and that in that everything we can find ourselves in the wholeness of the universe and our world. And that's what happens to me every time I paint. I don't have to go outside. I can be inside, I can be in a cave, I can be painting by candle, by lantern, or just by daylight.
Have you painted in caves?
I haven't, but I would.
Because I'd be very
Probably
curious.
a good experience. Well, you know, actually, one time when I lived in Sausalito, early in the late 60s, I had a room in Sausalito that was my studio. It was very small. It was probably as big as from that wall to this wall to this here. And then there was a place there to set up an easel. And it was underneath a giant slab underground.
Oh,
It was part of a condominium complex, and my little space was tucked underneath, and I had to crawl through a 2-foot by 3-foot tunnel to get into it. But there was electricity there, and it was very quiet.
yeah, I can
It was
imagine.
underground. So that's the closest to a cave I got, but it felt like a cave
And
because you had to
produced-
crawl in.
You produced art from there?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
at candlelight?
No, I had electricity in that cave. I had electricity in that cave.
Oh, that's beautiful.
A library, and it was it was a wonderful little space because you could come out of the cave and go out to the window and look out across the bay and see all of San Francisco and the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah, wow.
So it was a cave with a view.
A cave with a view. Well, that's the best cave, especially if you're doing art. You can just come out and it's like, wow, connected with everything.
Well, the best thing is nobody could find me.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah. The satellites. I was not under the radar anymore.
Yeah. What are some of the challenges you encountered in the journey, and some of the teachings you got from those challenges that you could share with other people that are trying to follow a similar path and producing that art and share it with the world?
Well, I always encourage people when they come and ask me, how do I be successful as an artist? And I always start out by saying, well, you can't be successful as an artist unless doing your art brings you great joy and fulfillment on a personal level. That's step one. Step two is to make a lot of it, more than you could ever imagine. Be super productive. And step three, which is probably the hardest one for artists, is show it wherever you can, however you can, to as many people as you can. Because my theory, which I think is true for me, it may not be true for others, but because I love the work so much, it brings me so much peace and happiness that the work itself has that energy in it, because believing that everything is alive, which is one of my core philosophies, as it is for the native indigenous people and for the ancient beliefs of China and Japan and the Orient, the work that I produce is still alive, and it has the energy of my living soul in it. And so when people see it and they are looking for more of that energy for themselves and connect with it, well, now we've connected on the invisible level, the deep invisible level that our hearts speak on. And that is something that is, it's beyond words. Yeah. But people come in, and when that happens, often they will weep in front of the artwork. And then you know that what I felt when I made the work and what they felt when they saw the work connected us on a very deep spiritual level. And to me, that is when my work is done. Yeah. The rest of it is important because we live in an economically, have to sustain ourselves economically in the world. But the true joy for me is when I connect with people on a deep, understanding soul level with the energy of love and peace and compassion. Yeah. And that's what I want my work to do.
And it does. I mean, it's just yesterday I saw two of your paintings, and I was feeling that vibration. I mean, it was the dancing crow one and the newer one. I don't know what it's called. Is it the dancing crow in the golden moment?
Dancing with the golden moments of the sun.
Dancing with the golden moment, and then there's the bee with the sacred geometry, and the vibration pulled me in and down, grounded me at the same time, and it was incredible. I was like, wow, that's hasn't happened before. It's powerful. and building on what you were saying is like, how do you see like the role of your heart and your art?
That's right, perfect.
In healing people. Like I feel like there's like, do you feel a role or duty, like is it more than just the therapy? And you touched on that for you, more than the spiritual work for yourself. Like I feel like there's something even bigger with what you're doing and with artists in general and their role in the world.
Yeah, well, a number of people back in the 20s and teens. Wassily Kandinsky was one of them who wrote concerning the spiritual and art, and he specifically talks about that. And he was friends with Freud and Jung and all the great minds starting to get into the inner story of art, as opposed to the outer story of art. And what we understand is that when I put a color up there that is of a frequency that connects with your soul frequency, your soul lights up. Yeah. Because it's looking for that. And what I call that is soul food. And so all of our souls need food, just like our bodies. And so how do we get it? We get it through the energies of creativity and the creations that come from the creative source that makes us human. And so it's painting, poetry, sculpture, music, dance, literature, all these things, and architecture. Yeah. Buildings built to make people feel like they're in a place and they're stable and they're free. There are many buildings that have been done for making people feel a special energy and connectedness with the rest of the universe, and that's the way they were built. So there's many ways that we can create things that allow the soul to feed and nourish itself on what it needs in order to evolve into greater awareness, consciousness, compassionate activities, and understanding. And so I look as my art as sort of a trigger mechanism. It's not that it does it. The person gets themselves to the place where they're ready. Yeah. And then they see, then they can connect with that deep space that's vibrating there, and they're looking for a connection. I think everybody's looking for a connection, but lots of people have what we call obscurations. They don't understand the things they have to remove from their environment in order to find their connections. And it's not on the outside, it's on the inside. And most of our culture is looking on the outside for their connection. Yeah. And that the artists and the poets and the meditators and the deep thinkers, they're going inside. And that's where the answers come from.
Yeah. Do you have any stories from people who've seen your arts that really stand out, where you're like, wow, like this completely changed their lives, or something that you have somebody that came back, and because I'm sure you've had a tremendous impact.
Well, my favorite story, or one of my favorite, there are many, right? But this is very personal of a story. I was at home painting in my home studio, and one of the wonderful people that works for me here called me up and said, well, these two people are in the gallery and they just bought 2 prints, and now they're looking at a great big original painting, and it was called The Angels of Peace and Purity. And they're looking at it, and they want to make an offer. And I said, well, tell me, what's going on in there? Well, the woman is crying in front of the painting, weeping, and she can't stop. And I went, take their offer. I didn't even ask what it was. And to me, that's kind of where I'm at. And if I feel that it's medicine for that person, I'm ready to, be negotiable, or even give it to a person if I feel it that powerfully. Now the end of the story is About a month later, I got a letter in the mail, and it was from the woman. And she said, I hung this piece in my meditation room, and it has completely changed my life. And I'm sending you the rest of the money. And there was a big check in there paying me for the rest of the painting that I'd gifted her. Oh. And I went, now that's deep core stuff. And to me, that's one of my favorite stories.
Oh, it's
because
beautiful.
It was like I was giving to the way I feel what art is about, and connecting and healing. And we know, of course, now from the studies at the University of California, Berkeley, and the Boston School of Medicine, that art changes our being for the better.
Yeah.
Physically, mentally, spiritually, on all levels. They've measured the immune system for humans who are sick without art first, by drawing blood and measuring the level of their leukocytes, and then they put art in their places of healing and waited a month, drew their blood again, and everybody's immune system was boosted.
Wow.
And so there's our dear friend Eric Kandel, who wrote the book The Age of Insight. He is a PhD, Nobel Prize winning for neuroscience in 2009, and his book about art says just exactly that when we connect on that level, our brain lights up and we receive tremendous benefits on all levels of our being. And they measure these things now. I mean, most of us knew it already.
Yeah. Now this reminds me of nature too, because I've seen similar studies around nature.
Absolutely, nature does the same thing.
So it's
and of course, since my art is inspired by nature,
yeah, exactly.
It's a little refined, a refinement of nature, and a special individuated capsulization of the energy that nature contains.
Oh.
A little morphogenic pill.
Which is it, the red pill or the blue pill? I don't know. It's the right pill for you.
Well, the biomorphogenics is about we are all connected by the information fields.
Yeah.
And of course we get into that when we take down the barriers that only allow us to see the visible. We start to perceive the invisible, which is 99.995% of everything. We start to see the interconnectedness in a new way. Mm. And we see it in a way that makes us humble.
Mm. Thank you. Can we talk about the golden moment? Because this was something that for me it changed my journey.
Well, certainly. A golden moment came out of when my parents had their 50th wedding anniversary. I wrote a poem called Celebration of the Golden Moments, because I saw in their life, after 50 years of marriage, and saw in them that the only way they could have ever stayed together was by sharing what I called the golden moments. And those are the moments where you feel most fulfilled in life. You feel totally connected. It's the oneness moments where we're raised up above our normal state of either wanting or not wanting, and find ourselves in a transcendence place of being that is still and peaceful and whole, and we're connected in another way, from the inside to the inside. And so in sharing those moments in partnership, I think it allows people to go over the conflictive moments and get through them because they have a deep resonance of wholeness and love and compassion for each other. And so when I wrote the poem, I realized that those golden moments were for everyone and that I should put them in my paintings and talk about them when people say, "Oh, what's the gold in there for?" Well, that's because I was having a golden moment when I was painting. And what a golden moment is when life is like lit you up and you're in the space of resonance with the harmony and joy and ecstasy and peace all at the same time of the universe. Yeah. You're there. You're in that spot, the still spot.
It's pretty incredible, and I think, especially in our society, we're so fast going. We talked about that the other day. We're going from point A to point B, and the ability to settle in those moments is something we've forgotten. So being reminded of that is so important. The work of your art is so important, helping people see that moment, reflect on it, meditate on it. Like it really helped me in my journey, because I was like, wow, like what is that golden moment? You know, because I was in corporate. I was running. And so, you know, once I started thinking about this more in relation to my meditation, I really started seeing, it's like, wow, you can settle in the space you're in now and just be and connect with the sound outside, with the light around you, with us being together right here, right now. And it's pretty incredible.
It is, but we have to practice, because our whole culture has us running for this, running for that, or running away from something, or running towards something.
Yeah.
And of course, that's the very nature of the understanding of Buddhism and all the great philosophies. Is we're either attracted or repelled by all these things that we're running either away or towards. And you have to get above it all and see it. And then how do we do that? We do by stopping.
Yeah.
And going like, well, what am I doing?
Yeah. Making space.
Where am I? How am I connected at this moment to everything around me? Yeah. And how am I connected to myself, to my heartbeat, to my breath? It always comes down to the heartbeat and the breath.
Yeah.
If you can sit and breathe in awareness, you will come to the present moment, and your body and mind at that time become one. Before that, then your mind may be someplace else other than where your body is.
Yeah.
And we've all experienced that, you know, like, oh my God, what was I doing? Well, now I'm here. Where was I before?
It's so interesting because it's so important in society today. Like the podcast is about leadership and manifesting the future, but like in order to manifest that future, you need to create from that state of groundedness, that which you find often in the golden moment. And if you don't have that healthy ability to be in the golden moment, you will create from a state that is misaligned, and at least that's what I'm seeing in many places. And so I really enjoy.
Oh, well, one of the things that I wanted to say was the ultimate transmutation of this concept is when you can turn everything, even the things you didn't like, into a golden moment. And then you're free. And I discovered that, you know, pretty early. That, you know, if it was up to me and I had to dig a ditch from here to there in the hot sun for $2.50 an hour to feed my family, I was going to do it with joy and happiness, and be thankful that I had that energy to put into it.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh yeah. Oh, I got one more thing, because you asked me about a great moment of sharing.
Yeah.
Well, during the plague, the COVID experience, we were contacted by the Arizona Teachers Artists Association for the schools. And one of the teachers came up here and said, would you do Zoom from the gallery here to 4 classes, 456 or 80 children? And we said, well, of course. And so we did it, I think 3 times, 4 classes 3 times over a number of days. And we talked about golden moments, and we talked about meditation, and we talked about art and science and nature and how they supported each other and connected each other in their education. Well, they were like for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, I think. And the response was fantastic. It was amazing reward. The children wrote me letters saying, I had a golden moment. The teachers said, my kids are having golden moments, and they're coming to school saying, well, I meditated this morning. And so it was just really fulfilling to see, because I believe that a great number of the problems that we have in our youthful energies is because these children are not getting their soul food.
Yeah.
They're not getting the arts. They're not getting the poetry. They're not getting the music. They're not getting the dance. They're not getting. It's all been removed from education, and it's been replaced with emphasis on the sports, which I don't have anything against sports, but it's not necessarily soul food to beat someone. Yeah. It's part of the struggle. It is soul food, but it's not what. When you bring kids to do art and they do art, they light up. They are excited. They are interested, and they want to do more. And to me, that's a sign. Yeah. And the sign of our times is about people not getting what they need to be a balanced soul. So art is the blessing that we have. Get as many people. Bring your kids to the galleries and to the museums and show them art. Light them up with the art, and then they can become creative, and they can be the new producers of soul food. Yeah.
Well, what's interesting too is if you go back between art and innovation, there's a very strong relationship, and technological innovation as well. Oh. And you look at those technology companies that are trying to innovate, but they've basically stammered the ability for their people to innovate by, like making them run in a rat wheel.
Making it too much structure.
Yeah.
Is what it is. My dad gave me a book that I don't have the title. I know the title. It's called Spirituality and Creativity and Business. And it was all about how it was written, a Japanese guy wrote it, of course. It was about how spirituality could be it was the creativity, and that creativity could be moved right over into business. And there's a book that we were given last year called Ichigo Ichi, and it talks about every moment being absolutely unique and perfect in its essence, and seeing it that way. And examples they gave were people who found their essence and were able to do it every day. Wow. And practice it, whether it was cutting sushi or making paintings or any creative thing, and to just be in that moment, because it is special and it will never come back. Yeah. And it's a philosophy.
That's wonderful. Another thing that really impressed me when we were talking a few days ago was your poems and your poetry. and how you were able to bring serious topics and lightheartedness and wittiness together. And you know, I was hoping you could read a few of those today.
I could probably do that.
And
let's
maybe talk about them a little bit more beforehand, on like what place do they have in your life?
Well, my poetry is when I can't paint, I write, and sometimes, often the painting will bring the poetry for the painting. Each painting receives a poem, but I started to write poems of economic, social, psychological, cultural conditions that we all get exposed to, that I needed to digest in a way that I could turn them into something that was made it more understandable and reconciling those energies. Okay, well here's one that I wrote in 2016. It's a little prescient. It was a response to that campaign for the election of the President of the United States. No real names will be mentioned. It's called Unleash the Beast. Unleash the beast. Evil genie out of the bottle. Legions of demons. Legions of negative emotions. Poured out of Pandora's box. Opened in fear. Opened in ignorance. Opened in jealousy and opened in hate. You know, the emotional plague, it's gone super viral. It's gone epidemic. Justified beheadings. Backpack suicide bombers. And artificial intelligence AI assassins. All committed in the names of many gods and religions. Heresy and hypocrisy. You'd better look out, democracy. History tells us you don't always last so long. People, get ready. There's a train a-coming. It's coming in the form of a wave. A wave of sorrow and a wave of pain. A wave of suffering and a wave of grief. Getting immunity. Now that's the trick. 1 million children, they all know the answer. They're all meditating for peace. They're all meditating for love. They're all meditating for understanding, and they're all meditating for compassion. I say, teach meditation. Teach peace. Teach love. Teach compassion. Teach understanding. Teach it to yourself. And share it every day with everyone in the precious present moment of awakened consciousness. We can and we will make a difference. That's a good one.
Thank you. That's a great one.
That's just talking about what you were saying. Yeah. That's like, okay, let's go on get into the darkness first and see reality as it is. But there is an answer. You don't have to get caught there. But you need to know it's there.
I love how you're able to bring that dialogue with a joyful way. I think that's really important. because there's so much conflict around.
Yeah, well, we need to like have an answer. You can't just talk about the problem.
Yeah.
Or else we go down, down, down.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, you want to hear another one?
Yes.
This is another one of the same order. Okay, this one's called All the Masks.
Oh.
All the masks. All the masks. They're all falling off. They're falling off. They're falling off. Everybody's getting a good view. Yeah, everybody's getting a good view. Ain't no hiding your face anymore. Ain't no hiding your face anymore. I say, ain't no hiding your face anymore. Now we see. Now we know. Time to understand the face you had before you were born. This world will soon be no more. Big changes are coming. Big changes are coming, I say, big changes are coming. Whatever you thought shall be wrought and rendered again and again. Life as we know it now shall be gone. A new motto, so novel to embrace. Awaken compassionate consciousness, awaken compassionate acts, meditation, observation, listening in the present moment, always to play, advanced communication, advanced commitment, advanced responsibility, learning the new way, learning the new way, yeah, learning the new way, finding the oneness every day. That's the way. That's the way. Those masks are falling off every day. So there you go. That's the mask are falling. I've got to do one more because it's really cute. This one was inspired by my mailbox.
Your mailbox.
Yes.
Wonderful.
It's by my mailbox. And that's how things, some of my paintings happen too, not by my mailbox, but just something will happen in nature or in the nature of the way we move through our lives. So this one's called Mail Order Surprise, More Guns. Automatic weapons, armor-piercing ammo in the mail, lock up the weapons. Let all the non-violent out of jail. Change the world with the stroke of the pen. 1 billion lives or more, the cost in the end. End the suffering with more care. Look into the other's eyes if you dare. Find the trust it takes to share. No mail order peace in the making, where there is no profit for the taking. Just you and me and everyone else, all in the game. You'd better laugh and you'd better learn, or you will surely go insane. Meditate and know all of life is about how to grow. Find the center of your being, and you will become a creative machine. Your soul embracing the oneness we all know, in a world where compassion and peace does flow. So that came because, like, I opened my mailbox and it was stuffed full of, like,
Junk mail.
gun on sale, ammo. All this stuff was like, you know, come on down to the gun show. And you know, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I think everybody deserves the right to protect themselves in all ways. But it's like,
But it's opening that conversation of like, hey, there's something more.
oh yeah, we got to do something. So yeah, let's get something that will bring us to the crescendo of
Crescendo.
this one here. Is pretty good. Okay, here we go. This one will end it pretty nice. This one I wrote after coming and being in Sedona for a while. It's called When My Eyes Met the Red Earth. Energy, energy, energy. Sparking, some kind of DNA, memory code, memory code, memory code. Knowing this is the place. This is the place. Oh yeah, this is the place. We are being blessed, being called by the living earth itself. The primordial, perennial spirits of nature's heart that sing the songs and dance the dance and dance the dance in the perpetual ever-changing light of the sun, light of the stars, light of the moon, their presence of their wisdom energies for eons and eons and eons, emanating the deep, deep, deep understanding, shaping the mountains, shaping the canyons, shaping the rocks, shaping the earth, red blood vibrating again and again, and now listening and listening and listening in this precious present moment. Listen, can you hear it? The ancient heartbeat, it is there. Churning, 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 and drumming, 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 the blessings of peace and joy and compassion and love and hope of all the ancestor spirits who live in our very being, in our blood, in our bone, and in our flesh. That's a Sedona one. That could pop right out of Sedona.
Thank you. Those were wonderful. So
okay, let's see, what time is it?
we're almost coming to an end, but
Okay.
I have one last question. So
Okay.
we're sitting here on your altar of creativity, and there are the three words on there. The invisible rule. What is the invisible rule?
Well, the invisible rules is that we don't see what's creating us. It's the undifferentiated field of all cosmic consciousness, which is invisible. You can connect with it, but its very nature is that it doesn't become matter.
Yeah.
It is what matter arises from it and is concretized out of it. It's like, what do they call that in chemistry? Precipitates out of it and takes the many forms that we see, the myriad of forms, the individuated forms of all of nature's spontaneous production of everything that we see. Yeah. But what we see is the smallest part of what we be. And so, to me, the invisible rules means be grateful for that which you don't see. It has supported, it's what supports us, it's what keeps us here. And I think this is where a great amount of the deep philosophical religions come from, this understanding that there is something beyond what we can know and understand through our senses that is to be venerated and given offerings to and sacrificed for, to know that the existence of it will continue to live in our hearts, in our minds, because when we promote and bring that into our focus and share it, then we are promoting a deeper understanding which will make more peace and harmony in the world.
Thank
Because
you.
it's only through misunderstanding that conflict comes.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you for giving us the opportunity
thank you.
to work with you.
Yeah, no, thank
and
you.
play with you.
Thank you for your time. This was wonderful. I'll put how people can get in touch with you, find
Sure.
your gallery
Sure.
in the show notes.
That'll be great.
Was there anything else you wished I would have asked or covered?
Well, I mean, there's so much more. What we want to. I think we just want to stay focused on the creative part,
Yes.
and then we may someday come back and do another
Yes.
one on a more mystical part,
Yes.
perhaps.
That sounds great.
Because I can go there too.
Oh, good.
But
part two.
that is a little more arcane. I like keeping it a little more grounded.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Honshin.
You're
Thank
very
you for
welcome.
your time.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Sébastien and Monica and Crystal.
Thanks for listening. If you like the show, please subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts, follow me on Instagram at Leadershipedelics, or stop by my website and say hi at fooyad.com. That's F-O-O-Y-A-D. There's a lot going on. I've got a retreat coming up in October. I've got Flute Fridays, and I'd love to hear from you all, the listeners that tune in every week. And if you have suggestions for future guests, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm there, and I'd love to get more guests on the show. Thank you. Have a great day.